So like I said, points, lines, and planes are like the fundamentals of geometry, right? This is how we base everything off of these little figures here. So we're going to talk about them individually and hopefully get a good idea of what they are, because then at the end of notes, we throw them all together in one picture, then we have to answer questions about them. So if you have any issues or questions that come up, let me know before we get into the more complicated stuff. So we start with the easiest one, a point. And that's exactly what you probably think it is. It's literally just a dot with a letter next to it, okay? So it has no dimension, and you guys fill in these big blue words in your notes. It has no dimension. It's literally just marking a spot. It has no shape or size. It's literally just marking, like I said, a location. We represent it by a small dot next to a capital letter. And we use that capital letter to name it. That's how we would name a point. So if there's no capital letter next to it, it's not a point. So for this one here, do you guys see how there's a point and then an A? So we would literally just call this point A. Yeah. Don't overthink it. Math people, I said, aren't that creative. So point A. That's it. That's how we would name that guy. Okay, so that was 1 point. Now if you have 2 points, you can make a line. So a line has 1 dimension. It goes on forever and ever in both ways. You can't measure it, it just keeps going and going and going. It extends forever without end in 2 directions. When you draw a line, it's a line. So you know it's a line, you put arrowheads at the end of it so you know it keeps going. Otherwise, it would just be a segment. So make sure you put those arrowheads like they have here on their line so you know it's a line. And then you can name a line in 2 ways. The first way is by any 2 points that are on that line, or with a script letter. You guys know what a script letter is? It's like a cursive letter. It's like a kind of like handwritten. So if we wanted to name our line here, do you guys see 2 points on this line? Yeah, do you guys see B and C right there? They're on that line. So you could call it line BC. And then you put an actual line with the little arrowheads on top so you know it's a line. You have to put those on there. Otherwise, you'd be calling it something else. So that's the first way you could name it. Or you could use that script letter. Do you guys see that cursive L right there? You could call it line L. So there's 2 ways you can name a line. If there's that script letter, line L, or any 2 points. And you could have called it C. You put the C first. The order of those points, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you have 2. Okay, so a point was 1 point. A line had at least 2. Now a plane has 3, okay? So a plane has 2 dimensions. That just means it extends left and right for forever and up and down for forever. In a drawing, we use a shape that looks like a floor or wall, or kind of like this box here. That's how we show it in a drawing. It's like a flat surface. So think of like your desktop, the side of a book, a box, anything that's flat. It extends without end in all directions. So again, it's going to go up and down for forever and side to side for forever. We have a few different ways we can name it. we can name it with either any 3 points on the plane that are not on the same line. We'll talk about that in a second. Or this capital letter in the corner. So let's do the easy one first. If we want to name this plane, do you guys see how this M here doesn't have a dot next to it? That's how you know it's not a dot and it's naming the plane. So you see how these points have dots? Those are points. This one's just naming the plane. So you could call it plane M. That's the first way you could name it. Or 3 points that are not on the same line. Is there any way I could draw a line without picking up my pencil through all those points right there? No. So I'm going to use those points to name it. So I'm going to call it plane DEF or FDE, whatever version you want to use. Just use those 3 points. The order doesn't matter. But the E first, the F first, it doesn't make a difference. That was a lot of information all at once. How do we feel? Are we kind of confused? It's okay, so that is kind of confusing. But now we're just going to practice with a bunch of examples, okay? So now we're going to throw all 3 of those things together in a picture, and then we're going to name some stuff about it. So this first one says, name 3 points. So give me any 3 points that you guys see on that picture. What do you guys think? Skylar?
Anything from D, E, D, E, or F.
Yep, because those are the only ones with the dots next to it. So those are the only ones that work. F, E, and D. That's the only answer. Good work. So you're going to write points D, E, F. All the other letters on there are naming something else because they don't have those dots next to it. So great. That was good. Okay. Now we want to name 2 lines. 2 lines. There's only 2 lines on here, so that's exciting. So I'm going to trace this one out. How would you guys name that line right there? Anyone have an idea? Are there 2 points on that line? Nope. So we just have to use that little letter right there. So line M. So that's this one, line M. Now that other line, we could name it 2 different ways. What are 2 points on that line? What are 2 points on that purple line up here?
D and E.
D and E, yep, so you could call it line DE like this. Put the little line on top, or you could call it line P. Either way, those mean the same thing. Those mean the exact same thing. Again, I know this is a lot, it's not really exciting. Just kind of work with me, okay? Okay, and the last one here, we're naming the plane, so those flat surfaces, those kind of rectangle looking things. How would we name this one that's going up and down? How would you name that plane? Do we remember? Yes.
R.
Plane R. Did you guys see that letter in the corner? Plane R. Great. That's good. Thanks, Jackson. And then what about this one that's kind of laying down? How would you name this plane here?
Plane Q.
Yes, plane Q. That works. Okay, some more vocab. All these words are really similar, so we'll just kind of see what their similarities are, all right? So So the first one is collinear points. Anyone have an idea? We try to fill in the blank. Points that lie on the blank line. Anyone have a guess? The same. Lines or points that are on the same line are called collinear. And you guys see how the word line is in collinear? That kind of helps you. So you know that it's talking about the same line. Okay, what about coplanar points? Points that are what plane? On the nope. On the same, yeah. So collinear means the same line. Coplanar means the same plane. So coplanar lines would also be on the same plane. Those words don't go away. You'll know what they mean by Thursday. I think today I'll say it to you like 50 times by the end of the class period. So collinear, points on the same line. Coplanar, points on the same plane. Okay, flip it over. We're just going to do some more examples. See how we do. Okay, folks. Hello. Okay. Okay, how about let's just want to see if I can we'll just get you started. Actually, want to wait for me? There you go. All right. So the first one says name 3 points that are collinear. What does collinear mean? On the same line. So can we find 3 points on the same line there? What are 3 points on the same line in this picture?
D, E, and F.
D, E, and F. Perfect answer. Good job. Yep. Points D, E, and F. That's the only answer actually for this one, so good work. All right, what about 4 points that are coplanar, so on the same plane? What would be 4 points on the same plane? Yeah, do you guys see our plane here? Remember, that's our flat surface. Now what points fall inside that box?
D, G, and F.
Yeah, what's the only point you couldn't have used? H, because that one's hovering above it, right? So all these other ones are inside here, so those all are good answers. Yeah. So points D, E, G, okay, what about 3 points that are not collinear, so not on the same line? What would you guys say? And don't overthink this one. Just make sure they're not all. 2 of them could be on the same line, but just not all 3.
H, G, and F.
Yeah, H, G, and F. Are all 3 of those on the same line? Nope, and that's what we wanted. So points H, G, F. Good work. All right, we got a more complicated picture now. Let's see how we do. Name 2 lines. That's pretty straightforward. Can we name 2 lines here? Ooh, got the band waking us up. Do you guys see 2 lines in this picture? There's actually 3. Can we name 2 of them? Yeah. There's one, line N. That's a good answer. So line N. What's another line? What else, you guys?
Line P.
Line P, yep, or line M. Both of those are good. You guys pick which one you want to use. Line P. Perfect.
I think P is the plane, isn't it?
No, that'd be plane S.
Oh, sure.
Okay. To go across, name two planes. How can we name the shaded plane over here? Yep, plane T. Do you guys see that capital letter in the corner? That's how you name the plane. Yep, plane T. What about this unshaded plane on the bottom?
Plane S.
Plane S. Yep, that would work. Okay. Name 3 points that are collinear. So 3 points on the same line.
C, D, and E.
Do we agree with C, D, and E? Thank you, sir. Yep. What about 3 points that are not on the same line? So basically, we just can't pick these 3 points together. So it can be any other 3 points. It could be C, D, and then another point. It could be whatever we want as long as we don't say C, D, and E. So what do you guys think?
A, B, E.
A, B, and E? Yeah. Are these all on the same line? No. Points A, B, and E. Okay. 4 points that are coplanar, so on the same plane. Do we even have 4 points on the shaded plane over here? No. So we have to pick 4 points on this one here. What are they?
B, C, D, E.
Yep. B, C, D, and E. Those are our 4 points. Yep. Points B, C, D, and E. All right, and then our last one here. Name 2 lines that are on the same plane that are coplanar. So let's decide. Do you guys want to use the shaded plane or the unshaded plane? Someone pick. Skylar.
I use the unshaded plane.
Okay, so what are the 2 lines on this plane here? What do you guys think? Yep, line P and line M. Yep. Woo. We're getting through it. We're getting through it. Okay, we just have a few more definitions to talk about, and that's it, okay? Just this little bottom part. Okay, so our next thing is a segment, and it's just part of a line. So remember when I said a line goes on for forever and ever, and we can't measure it? We can actually measure a segment because it starts and then it stops. And that's because it has 2 endpoints. It starts and it stops. So we could actually measure this if we wanted to. So if we want to name this segment right here, you use its endpoint. So we're going to call it segment AB. And then so you know it's a segment like versus a line, you have to put a little segment on top. So you just put a little segment. And that tells you segment AB. Or you could call it the other way, BA. Segment BA. The order of those two doesn't matter. As long as you use the endpoints, it doesn't matter if you use B first or A. Both are good answers. And then our last figure we're going to talk about is array, and it's also part of a line. But we can't measure array because it starts and then it goes on forever and ever and ever in the opposite direction. Because it has one endpoint and one arrowhead. It starts and then goes on for forever. Kind of like little kids in the morning. They get going and then they don't stop. Now, array's a little different. When you name it, you have to put its endpoint first. So what are we starting with? So you have to start with A, and then it's telling you it's going through B. And then you put a little array on top so you know it's array, not like a segment. That's why it's so important to make sure you label it correctly. All right, our last one here, kids, says draw name three non-collinear points, J, K, and L. So draw 3 random points on your page that aren't on the same line. I'm going to put one here, here, I don't know, there. And then I'm going to label them J, K, L. Just make sure they're not all on the same line. You'll be okay. And now we're going to draw. It says draw JK. Is JK a line, segment, or array? And how can you tell? You look at that little symbol on top, right? What is that symbol? What's that?
Never ending.
Yeah, it never ends because it's a line. It has arrowheads. So you're going to draw a line through J and K because that's what it wanted. And then make sure you put your arrowheads. It's going on for forever and ever and ever. Okay, now it says KL. What kind of a figure is that? Is it a line, segment, or array? Segment. So it's going to start at K and it's going to end at L. It starts and it stops. And then our last one is LJ. What kind of figure is that? Array. Perfect. And where does it start? At J or L?
L.
Yeah, so you're going to start at L, you go through J, and then put an arrowhead. Woo! And we did it! That was long, and I apologize, but you guys are awesome. Okay, find this one. We are going to be on the green sheet. We're doing the green. We're skipping the purple. We might do it later. I don't know. Maybe not. But we're doing the green today. All right, should we start some of these together and get on a roll? Okay, number 1. Through any 2 points, there's exactly what? 1. I'll give you hints, either point, line, or plane. What do we think? Through 2 points. Yeah.
Line?
Line, yes. It's a line. Through any 3 points not on a line, there's exactly 1. What do you guys think? Point, line, or plane? Through any 3 points.
Plane.
Plane. Thank you. What do we call it when points are on the same line? What is that called? Points on the same line. Yes, collinear. Perfect. And what do we call it when points are on the same plane? What do you think? I know you know it. Skylar.
Co-planner.
Yes, coplanar. Okay. I'm gonna throw that at you. You guys are gonna work. I'm just gonna walk around because there's multiple answers here that you can have. And I want you to think a little bit. Wave us over if you need us. Oh, one more thing. Cross off 12 because 11 and 12 are the same thing. So cross off 12. Skip 12. It's the same exact problem as 11.